Alright, let's take a look at buttonhole, possibly blanket stitch. I swear every time I research it I get more confused. We're gonna come up at the bottom of your line, and then what I like to do is imagine like a stitch length away and then a stitch length perpendicular from our line, and that's where we're going down. Then I'm going to come back up that stitch length away on the line. I want to make sure I grab this floss while I'm here, like that. And then we continue. So imagine a stitch length up, stitch length across, like this, etc. So you can also make these stitches really close together, which I'm going to show you more of. We're going to use it to fill a shape. Or you can make your stitches longer. Or we could change the angle. So instead of coming out perpendicular, we do something like this. So all of those stitches coming out are angled. So all kinds of different things we can do. Usually people use this as a bordering stitch. I'm going to finish it by just anchoring down here like that. Alright, so next I'm going to show you how to fill a shape. We're going to jump over here. Now this one's going to be, it's going to look a little weird at the beginning because I'm starting from the same spot. These two stitches are basically going to be in the same place. And then you can imagine this line here is going to correspond to here. And then this line here will correspond to these stitches. All right. So if we, mirror this, we come up here. So let's say that's my first stitch. But what I'm going to do is instead of coming across parallel, I'm actually going to come right back down. So what you'll see is essentially I kind of start with like a chain, right? A chain stitch. But here's where it gets different. What I'm going to do, because I want to have this kind of angled like this to fill my shape, I'm going to keep coming down low here and then come up a little higher on this side. I'm going to continue that to fill the shape. I think I'm going to run out of floss before I can get to the top of my shape. So we're gonna change the shape of my leaf so we can finish it. And you'll note, you can make these, you can see how I have like some distance here. If you don't want that, you don't have to do that. You can make it so you come up right next to where you just went, so that your stitches touch, right? And so there's no fabric poking through. The other thing you want to pay attention to is, I might be coming up on this line, but because the fabric, because the floss loops around, I'm actually that much over my line. So if that's okay with you, then just stay on your line. If that's not okay and you need to stay within the line, then you'd want to kind of compensate, and instead of coming up on your line, just come up a wee bit more in, like that. Let's see, let me grab another stitch. And what I like to do is to give my leaf like a kind of a sharp tip instead of going down like right next to this, I go a little bit further, like that. All right, so please excuse the cats. I have no idea what they're doing. All right, so here's another example. I'm gonna, just for the sake of time and how much floss I have, I'm gonna leave some gaps, so it's not gonna be completely filled in. But just to show you, you know, you can fill in a leaf like this, or you can split it into two pieces, kind of like you would with satin stitch, right? You can fill a leaf as a single shape with satin stitch, or you can, you know, divide the shape into two pieces and treat them individually, which I think looks very cool. Oh my word. So you don't have to do it as sharp of an angle as I am. If you want to make this first, you know, stitch shorter, you're not going to be so angled. You'll be a little bit more like this when you fill. This is just kind of the habit I've developed to do it at this angle. So you can see as I go, these stitches are further apart than down here, right? So I'm being a little bit closer to the previous stitch down here and giving myself a little bit more room at the top. As you could consider it like compensating. So I'm trying to decide if we're going to fit another stitch. I think we will. So here I'm going to do the same thing where I have a little point at the end, and I'm going to do the other side. So if you can go through the same holes, that would be amazing. You certainly don't have to. Oops. Because something bad might happen. Like I just discovered. Alright, let's try that again. That was my knot, I believe, that I was just pulling out. Okay, we don't want to do that. So this can kind of hurt your brain a little bit, right? Because now we're on the other side. But it's the same thing. And we're making this loop. And we're heading up. Sorry, I grabbed a stray something or other. And I'm fending off a kitten. So just the same thing up this side. Anyway, what you could do, you can use this to fill, but you could also put this on top of another stitch if you want it really loose and have the other stitch show through. It might be kind of cool. Oops, there's that darn floss again. Alright, so my final stitch. So this one I'm actually going to kind of cover up this other stitch a little bit. I don't want it to lay on top of it, I want it to be next to it. And then I'll have that be the very tip, like that. So this got pulled a little bit when I was dealing with that nonsense, but other than that, that's what it should look like.